It's always an opportunity to come and speak before any audience that's interested in growing, becoming more, and going to the next level. I've been an entrepreneur for 22 years. I've traveled all over the world. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we see that's getting ready to happen. So this won't be the typical lecture where I'm throwing darts and charts at you. We're just going to talk about what's coming. You're either going to be ready for it or you're going to be out of the game. We're going to talk briefly about the history, which most of you know, it started in the 1500s. We're going to talk a little bit about what you should be thinking about by the end of the day. And I'm also going to talk about luck. But by the time you walk out of here, I hope to have planted a seed on thinking a little bit more outside of the box. I don't care if you become an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur within your organization. Globalization is here, and it's all around you as you speak right now. I remember when I made my first $1 million, I thought I had hit the jackpot. But I surely realized in a short period of time, it wasn't about the money, it was about the passion of what I was doing and making somebody else's life better. And I happened to make $1 million. And as soon as I made that switch in my brain, earlier you heard today about the 1% versus the 99%. You've heard about branding all over the world. You've heard a little bit about sustainability and what the future is going to look like. You've heard a little bit about what the new middle class is going to look like. But what they didn't talk about, and what I'm going to hope to leave you with today, is how you can still make a difference and reach 1 billion people's lives. What they didn't talk about is that everybody in here has an idea ready to be birthed inside of them today. That's how quick the disruptive technology is. So let's get going so you can get out of here. See, I told you the best for last, I wasn't kidding. History, luck, where are we today? And I'm going to talk about the 6 global economic trends for the future. And then I'm going to talk about big, hairy, audacious goals. Like that. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Globalization and outsourcing are hardly new ideas to the world. In these days of agrarian society, production led to consumption, which led to surplus and growth. This system created a dependence on private property to feed the family and produce an income. Now, we're not that far away from it. We just talk about it in better terms today. Now we live in a world of machines and salaries. Post-Cold War, with the looming threat of nuclear annihilations gone, America quickly entered a technological revolution that created economic boom within the United States. Enjoying the view from the top, the Clinton administration, I don't know, most of you probably weren't even born then, pushed for a series of pro-liberalization and pro-globalization initiatives. What that means is that during that time, we were just consuming from China, and we didn't have a two-way street on our tariff. So Bush said, wait a minute, they're making all the money and we're not. So how can we start to do some more initiatives so that we can share back and forth with Japan and China and other Southeast Asian countries? The global trade barriers were eventually knocked down by the creation of the World Trade Organization, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. Problems arose when certain countries failed to maintain fair trade barriers and certain international rules were not enforced. Now, we still have that problem today. I guess all you're hearing about what's getting ready to happen with the President of the United States and China. We still have those issues today. But here's the downside of that. Sometimes when you're borrowing money from the world, they still get to push the button and do what they want to do. So it's very difficult to establish the rules when you still have to call them on Monday to borrow 60 cents on the dollar. That's the game. So I'm speaking to you from entrepreneur, not just from a manager point of view, but from leadership going forward when you leave here. First 3 things you must have to have. I told you I was going to talk a little bit about luck, and I'm going to look at it like this. Luck is location, understanding, connections, and knowledge. That's what luck is. Location, understanding, connection, and knowledge. 90% of the people in the room is not connected today. They can talk to you about growing into the 1% all day long, but you must be connected. You must know where the next location is going to come from. And you have to have an understanding of the game that you're in, the perceived game that's coming, and anticipate almost 5 to 10 years out in an uncertain market. That's the Bain corporations that you hear about. They could see it coming. So you want to think about that, whatever you decide to do, even if you decide to work for a corporate company. Where do you see them going 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? What kind of management team do they have? Are they a multinational organization which will give you an opportunity to play in another country? Because you're going to want to do that. Don't get an MBA and you're just sitting here trying to work for Pfizer down the street. Get an MBA and it takes you around the world. Because it's about the knowledge at the end of the day. You will be learning until you die in here. Everybody with me? Yes. I'm one of those preachers, you know. The first 3 things you must have to succeed in the global economy or to achieve domestic growth is ability to empathize. The failure of the election for one party is they could not empathize. Doesn't matter if you're rich, but can you empathize with the subject matter that's in front of you? If you're going to go to Africa and say, oh, wow, these people are so poor, understand that they don't want you to feel sorry for them in Africa about being poor. You want to empathize with them, understand the need, and then you want to bring whatever that market is to their table to help them to grow. But don't dare go to Africa and say, poor you, that you live in such poverty. I had the opportunity 15 years ago to go to Haiti, some of the most proud people you'd ever want to meet. I don't care if they were living in a shanty. Went to Brazil. The shanties were across the street from a major corporation. They didn't feel poor, so we could not approach them from that cultural point of view. So you have to learn how to empathize with the subject matter that you're talking to, maybe in corporate, or it may be something that you're doing for a great idea to help build the world. Clarity of purpose. Don't start any project globally just for the money. Always come from a place of service first. How is that product, how is that app going to service someone and make or improve their life? Be clear on the purpose. Hold that purpose in your heart and your mind. Because once you go out there and you put that stamp of approval on it, you have to translate that information worldwide. I don't speak Mandarin, so I'm going to have to make sure that product can translate in Mandarin, Spanish, or any language that I'm trying to move that app along the way. Sense of timing. You've got to read, folks. Not just your homework, but you got to pick up that New York Times, Business Week, etc. Bloomberg Report sometimes. You got to turn off Dancing with the Stars. You've got to hear what they're saying and listen to it over and over again. The market is going down a little bit now. Does anybody know why the market's tanking a little bit? What are the 2 things that's driving the market down right now? Anybody know? Sorry? Not just the European, but there may be an all-out war in the Middle East. They're bombing each other, the Gaza Strip and the Israelis. That's scary. We've gone from 13,857 in the Dow, I think we're at 12,572 or something like that today, on top of the fiscal cliff that's about to happen in the United States. Then you add the EU on top of that. 12 of the countries said, we don't really like this new austerity plan that's coming up. Guess what? Nobody has a clue. So that's why you want to be clear on your purpose, and you want to watch for that sense of timing. It's like a running back on the field. Up, John's looking left, I'm going right. If you don't play chess, learn how to play chess. Take the bishop out, go for the queen. Sorry, I'm like a preacher. You know. Everybody with me so far? Okay? Current global growth business clusters. Financial technology expansion. Security is going to be a huge opportunity for cyberspace security as well as physical security around the world. Retail for growing global middle class. China, hear me, in the 3 to 4 years will be the new middle class. China. So think about something in the retail world that might be something that you can move forward online. Rapid mobile technology, all of you are aware of that. I mean, I think we started when I was doing my MBA, it was like every 18 months, now it's down to every 3 days. Apple has a new product coming out. It's amazing, amazing. And how are you gonna scale that if you do come up with a new idea and you wanna translate that worldwide? Social media promotion. It was so interesting. I don't know if you watched Joe in the Morning or MSNBC, any of you, but to see how they killed one of the Hamas leaders online on YouTube in real time. Now, that's not something you want to see at 7 o'clock in the morning on the treadmill, but just think about how quickly information is even speeding up past that. So now your thought might be, what's next after that? Innovative and disruptive technology and specialty services. You now have healthcare services with this Obamacare and healthcare that's going to match the world, where you're going to be able to do software services to help people with their outpatient particulars all around the world. This company, HHC, www.HCC, look that up. It's amazing what they're doing worldwide in healthcare services. So you want to think about the healthcare services as well, because you can do all of that online. What are the barriers today? Lack of ground game in the country of choice, of course. Culture. One of the things about Americans sometimes, especially if they're growing up in urban areas, they don't travel. We have more international students coming here and understand our ways, but we don't go over there and understand their ways and their cultures. Look to find internships or some kinds of programs where you can go and travel and live in China, live in another country that will bring your knowledge base up. It's nothing like trying to sell something to someone and you've never visited the country. I'm gonna sell swimming pools to Greece. Well, they're right by the Mediterranean Sea. They may not be interested in that. But you have to go, you have to visit and get creative on how to do that travel versus first-class flights. But we Americans for sure have to get out and travel and see the world for sure. Tariff restrictions, we're still fighting that. We still import way more than we can export, so it's not the game for the faint of heart. And here's the other thing, you may come up with an idea and throw it online today, and if you're not ready to go global and someone thinks it's a good idea, they'll take it global. Your idea. That's how quick the conversation is online. So you want to think about those kinds of conversations. And the lack of a strong logistical plan. If you don't take any other class, take a logistical plan class. Because if you're going to think globally, even for yourself or your company, it's nice to have that on your resume, that you understand logistics. Because this is a global society. We're good so far? Okay, all right, let's move right along here. They'll be telling me to get off stage soon. Okay, Ernst & Young found this fascinating report. I think Elaine will have this up online if you'd like to look at this again. This is what they're predicting the trends for the future. Emerging markets increase their global power. So the emerging markets, they're looking at Southeast Asia and still South America. Clean tech becomes a competitive advantage. Anything with clean energy is going to be a competitive edge for the future. Think about that. Global banking seeking recovery through transformation, that's going to be huge. If you like economics, you might want to think about how can I play in that game? Government enhances ties with the private sector. We're going to see more private-public partnerships around the world. When you think about an institution like NJIT, the state only maybe gives us 14 to 15 cents on the dollar. So what they do, they might partner with a developer or someone outside to help build and sustain new projects that are going to go on here. That's going to happen around the world, so think about that outside the box. Rapid technology innovation creates a smart mobile world. You know that's going to continue. And demographic shifts transform the global workforce. That's already happening. I foresee the 2001 lift of passports for our international friends who can stay here, because right now they're doing their education here and they have to go home and they're building whatever they're learning here in the United States. So we're losing that knowledge base very quickly and very rapidly. So someone needs to do something, or else we're going to really be priced out of the market in terms of intellectual capital. Here's the 3 drivers of change: demographic shift, reshape global power structure, and disruptive innovation. Those are your drivers. And I'll just put this up on the chart to show you how it's all going to interact. Emerging markets, clean tech, and they're all going to circle those drivers. You have those drivers, you know that any of these models around the 6 are going to work. What does that demographic shift look like? I just mentioned to you, students are coming here and learning, and they're taking that knowledge and going back to their country. India is on top of the world in terms of their growth. Now, I'll tell you who's fading a little bit is Dubai. Now, they're hurting a little bit, but they're going to come back. But the problem is, culturally, as a woman, I can't go over and build there. I have to send a man in. I have to just sit on the corner and look like I'm waving. Well, really, it's a Muslim country. I can't okay, fellas, let's get to work. They're not trying to hear that. But at the end of the day, they have such great opportunities on the architectural side, the engineering side, and the construction side. I would love to be there and just bask in that knowledge of understanding. So as soon as that opportunity presents itself, we're hoping to have that opportunity to do that. How to spot global opportunity. The country that you're looking at, whether you're working for someone or for yourself, how educated is the population? If they're not educated, you can stand there all day long and talk if you have no one to translate it to that can implement it, because you can't live there for the rest of your life. Infrastructure for growth. Do you have the ability to grow whatever it is that you're trying to sell in that country? Even small businesses here in the United States struggle with growing because they don't have infrastructure. So just think about now you've launched something globally and you have no infrastructure. So you want to think about, do they have the capacity to carry your brand, your message, and your product without disruption? Human capital. Where are the lieutenants going to be on the ground? Are you going to partner with a multinational organization if you went global? How are you going to do that? Somebody has to be on the ground selling the product. What's that human capital available to? Is it available only to you or to the multinational company? Who's going to be loyal to you? That's where your relationships get to build, right here in an organization like this. Your classmates get valuable if you're thinking about doing something outside of this country. John, you going back to China? I need your name, address, and email. Build the relationships, connections, understanding, knowledge. And the workforce availability. You're not a Nike organization, so you can't pump out 1,000 sneakers per hour. Who's going to do it? Are you going to build the product here, or are you going to have the product built globally? And who's going to monitor the quality assurance that that's done correctly? So it's a big undertaking once you think about going global. May it be a product. Services are a little bit easier, obviously, because you can do those online, but once you go to product category, you really, really have to have your game together. Here we go. Big, hairy, audacious goals. And I just want to stop here for a second. Here's my thought about this. Can you hear me? I don't have a microphone. I don't have one. But I have to use this one. I wanted to move around a little bit. So here we go. Jim Collins had a wonderful article in October's Inc. magazine, if you'd like to read it. He talked about everyone is thinking about getting rich versus helping to transform the world. I want you to look at this list. Again, I'm hoping Elaine will put this online. Education is hurting around the world. Take it on, somebody. Most countries, you cannot get an education past the 7th or 8th grade without paying for it, except for your more developed countries. Just think about if you could transform 1 million to 1 billion young people's lives through transforming education. Just a thought. That's a big, hairy goal. Come up with ideas that everyone can relate to. I hear more people talk about software and building a building, etc., but all of those things take time for you to develop. So your lead time to move something from point A to point B is not where you want to be. You don't want to be caught up into that right now. So just think about what else you can do that will be executed right away, and you can absolutely launch whatever product you want to move. Building sustainable villages. Is it on? No. Is it on? Hello? Okay. Building sustainable villages. Now here's the deal. The Middle East is going to have to be rebuilt. There are people living in tents all over the world from civil unrest. No clean water, no toilet facilities, etc. Those are big, hairy, audacious goals. And even if you can't do it here, how can you start the movement over there to get it going? Those are big ideas. I love those ideas. I just think that's exciting. You know, don't always think about, wow, I've got to make a fortune. The money will come if you're serving in a big, hairy way. The money will come. Irrigation systems that recycle water. I can't tell you the need. I had to, when I was in Africa, I went to 4 countries in Africa, and I had to use the bathroom. Typical American, looking for toilet tissue, door. They took a picture of me in, it's called I think it's a train. You just go, it's wide open in the middle of the street. You want to go? You got to go. I was the most embarrassed person. And then you have to squat over a hole with my knees, okay? So I'm like this, oh, this is not going to work out very well. But just think about that. This is how these people live every day, from senior citizens to young people. I'm just there for the week. So think about that. I have one of my interns. She goes to one of the high schools here. She just came back from Nicaragua, and I probably didn't pronounce that well, so forgive me. And one of the children there they had no running water in the orphanage. They had 700 children in the orphanage with no running water. They had to go down the hill and bring buckets of water back up to give these children clean water every day. Now, my little 17-year-old says she cried for the last 3 days because she realized how great she had it. From the inner city of Newark. That's a big, hairy goal. How can we get water irrigated up to that school? Just putting it out there, folks. There's more to life than being the 1%er, because you could be the 1%er and serve billions. And then you can take what you do develop and sell it to market. Global farming. Some of these countries are without good food and quality irrigation to eat. Think about that. Twitter and Facebook assist in the Middle East political upheaval. What is your revolution inside of you? Bring that to market. Bring that to your employer. Bring that to your professor. And last, making someone's life better. Reaching billions is beyond an audacious goal. And here's Globalization's today, thinking outside of the box. I'm going to stop here. If you have any questions, I hope I brought a little something for you that was sustainable, thought-provoking, and could take you to the next level. Thank you very much.